So we'll start off by looking at these beautiful Acaras. These are Albino Acaras, Cichlids, and they're just doing great. There's 5 of them. I picked them up from Dan's, and they've just looked perfect from day one. It's just a real good stock of Acaras. They're trying to get a bit of color in that anal fin, a little red on the edges of the fins, some of the speckles in the fins that these Acaras are well known for. Once they get older, they just get absolutely beautiful, and of course they get those long red trailers that come off of the dorsal and tail. So they're just coming along very nicely, almost ready to go over to the 90. Here in the 90 gallon, the Blue Congos, the miracle Congos that I picked up from Josh over at Cunningham Tropicals. If you remember that video, they were not looking too good initially, and then they all bounced back, and they're just doing great, thriving and hanging out mostly in the back half of the aquarium. Doesn't make it easy to get them on camera, but they all seem to be thriving. I think I've got at least 2 very nice males, and I think the rest of them, the other 5 or 6, might be females. There might be 3 males actually, and 5 females. So it's a good group of Congos. Not sure if they'll stay in this tank or maybe go over to the 55 planted. Got to do a little research on how Congos do with plants. I don't want them to be go over there and start destroying all the plants. So I'll look into that. The neon blue rainbows are doing great over here in the 29 gallon. I've got a bit of a hornwort snowstorm, which I'm going to be talking about in an upcoming video. But the fish themselves, I think 4 of them in here are from Dan's. A couple of them are from the Aquatic Critter here in Nashville. But you can see they're just looking great. A bit more skittish since I thinned out the hornwort. I think it makes them feel a little bit more exposed. So if you're thinking about getting some neon blue, some of these dwarf rainbows, I suggest you just make it so that they feel like they have hiding spots. They don't seem to like it or be as calm, or they don't seem as happy in a more wide open setup. They liked it when there was a little bit more cover. But otherwise, they seem to be doing well. Love the red on the fins, and of course the blue in the body is gorgeous, which the camera doesn't really capture. The Anubias in the middle there might be getting a little bit too much light now. Let's take a look at that the old fellow here, and here he is, the sand diver. And for those of you that have been following the channel, you know that I was real close to pulling him out of the tank and running him through a regimen of meds, but decided to go ahead and just leave him in. And he's actually been nibbling on garlic infused frozen krill and pellets. So he's not ready to give up the ghost just yet. But I do feel that with him, and to some degree with the gar, they've sort of they're on the downward slide towards the end of life. Unfortunately, these fish don't live that super long, and when you acquire any kind of fish that's already an adult, colored up, mature male, chances are that fish was already around for a year or two before you even got them. And if they have a lifespan of between 5 and 7 years in the wild, and that's usually less in captivity, so they do tend to get into the last phases of life. The rest of the fish, as you can see there with the Fusco and his cousin right there, the Venusis, they're doing great. The other fish are looking good. I'm hoping to add some more cichlids to this collection soon. Work something out with Cunningham Tropicals. They're all hanging up at the right there. Thing I'm going to feed them. There's the gar I was talking about. The trout is looking great. Just a beautiful fish. And of course, these fish were picked up originally. You know, these were all from the Cichlid shack back when I was working with him, and I believe he's still selling fish out there, so check him out. James Largo at the Cichlid shack. This Kawingi, again, another beautiful fish that, you know, with every scale has its own sort of color, but the camera, again, doesn't really capture them. Over in the 210-gallon South and Central American tank, things are doing great. That 3,500 gallon per hour wave maker is running right now, so you're going to see some stuff floating in the tank, including little bits of cucumber that I fed him the other day. Firemouth is always asserting himself, trying to be a tough guy. The other fish just sort of tolerate him, but are not really afraid of him. There's Jackie, my Jackie Dempsey, female Jack Dempsey, looking good. Colors on this vieja are beautiful. It's got to be pushing around 11 inches. Just a beautiful big vieja. Green Tear, Salvini, Sally the Salvini, a couple females. There's my albino red tiger. Just love the markings on that fish. And of course, I got him at the same time as I got the male red tiger. Here's the Nicaragua, and there's the red tiger. Just a big brute. Really grew fast. My first set of Oscars that I've ever owned in all my years of aquarium keeping, so I didn't really realize just how fast they would grow. The chocolate cichlid, 2 of them in there. The chocolates, I think, are just beautiful. Very timid, kind of keep to themselves and stay out of the way of the bigger fish, the more aggressive fish. Just love the coloration and markings on that Salvini, as you probably know. Look who's out. The red tear that I picked up from Whip's World. He's doing great. And I kid you not, this substrate on Wednesday was made completely level. And as you can see, he's got it already down to bare bottom. He's like a front-loading backhoe. He just doesn't stop, just keeps moving it until it's all down, and then builds up this sort of battlement, the sort of wall in the front. But as you can see, he's looking really good. He gets pellets, he gets bloodworms, he gets some of those black worms from Super Cichlids, and some of the worms from the Aquarium Co-op. Here's the 55-gallon planted, and I'll just give you an overall on this one as well, since we're talking about fish. And again, the centerpiece fish in this tank have got to be the 5 Albino Acaras, who are just about going to start getting too big for this tank. So they'll be moving over to the 90, and then I'll probably move the rainbows, the dwarf rainbows, into here. See, I got some little rummy nose in there. There's some red serpas. I lost a rasbora. He's actually up there in the horn ward. I need to pull him out. So I've got 4 instead of 5. I'm probably going to pick up some more rasbora just because I love the way they school. Maybe pick up a few more neons. I think I've got about 4 neons in there, but I'd like to have maybe 10 neons ideally. These plants have finally taken root and are holding. They kept coming out of the substrate, and I was just about to put them into one of those Aquarium Co-op pots. The Cories and the Pleco, I think, are the ones that uproot the plants. Don't destroy the plants, but they just mess around with the substrate so much that they uproot it. These pots have really helped to kind of keep it under control. I've got a few Anubias and some hornwort put into the pots. You can see I've thinned the Anubias out considerably, used to be about 4 times that much. There's an albino, little albino. These were all born here. This piece of wood has a hole in it where I had a lot of the Anubias, but the plecos would get underneath the wood and they would push the plants out, and I would find them floating the next morning. and that's why I've started using these aquarium co-op easy planter pots. You see the rest of the plants look good. There's some lemon tetras back there. That's probably a third of the amount of hornwort I had before. I'll talk more about that in an upcoming video called Hornwort War. There's the red shoulder in the 90 gallon. We don't get to see him too much. He's one of the more aggressive fish in this aquarium, along with the geos. And I'll probably be trying him over in the 210. I'm going to be going out of town this next weekend, so I don't want to do it when I'm going to be going out of town. I want to do it when I'm going to be around for a couple of weeks and really keep an eye on things. So the red spotted gold Severn will probably stay in this tank. He's just a little bit too docile for that 210, I believe. But the geos are pretty aggressive. I just love the shape of the fins on those blue Congos that I got from Cunningham Tropicals. Just absolutely beautiful fish. If you know, are they bad with plants? Do they eat plants? If I put them in with real plants, let me know, because I am considering taking them over to the 55, but I might just leave them here. We'll see. They don't seem to be nippy, and the Buenos Aires Tetras are not messing with them. I've been keeping an eye on that because I don't want their fins messed with. The electric blue Acaras have been getting a little bit aggressive. I believe I've got two males. And so one of them has been asserting, as you can see right there, one of them has been asserting his dominance. And so the dominant male might just go over to the 210 and see how he does over there. And leave the subdominant one back here along with the red spotted Severum and possibly the AC Hecali. And of course the blue Congos. You can see the hornwort's been reduced by about 2/3. I've got a trash can full of hornwort right now. A lot of it was kind of brown and not looking too good. But when those fish are moved onto the 90, when I make those moves, when I take the Albino Acaras out of the 55, I'll take these rainbows, these blue neon dwarf rainbows, and move them over to the 55 gallon. See here, I also got a big, just a load of these little plecos. They just keep getting born. Here's the eel, a little checkerboard eel, very cute little guy. And of course, as he starts to put on size, he'll probably have to go over to the 90 gallon, because I heard they can get over 10 inches, and they can be relatively aggressive. They can go after other fish. But he's just a real cool addition. I'm really enjoying him, the way he goes in and out of things. Again, I've got a hornwort snowstorm. Not as bad as it was about 3 or 4 days ago before I thinned out that hornwort. Oh, there goes the mama pleco. There's a little cave back there. You can barely see it. That's where the eggs are constantly being laid. In the live bear tank, where I got a few platies and guppies, I've got a couple cories. There's a pleco in here as well. A couple of the small sponge filters from the co-op. But you can see here I've gotten some of the plants under control again by using one of these easy planter pots. Some of those are rooted in the substrate, and of course the hornwort you can just shove in. You don't have to put into the substrate because it doesn't need to be in the substrate. But again, it was thinned out considerably, and I think the tank looks a lot better cleaned up that way. Little nearite snail. I think there might be a few pagoda snails in here, like I have in the other tanks. They tend to spread around. My favorite snail really is the pagoda snail. This little surprise fry is still doing well. I'm still not sure if it's a rainbow or a blue Congo, but he's thriving in here. Be doing okay. So there you have it. That's the update.